Moline police officers have been looking pretty hairy this month, but all for a good cause. How much they've raised and where it's going coming up. And don't get too excited about a floating brewery in Davenport, what city leaders decided just last night.
WHBF is local for you. This is Local 4 News this morning.
Good morning and thanks for watching Local 4 News this morning. I'm Emily Scarlett. The 1-cent sales tax increase approved by voters earlier this month will bring millions to the Rock Island Milan School District. Last night, board members held a special meeting to discuss what they'll do with all that money. The tax will take effect in July and bring in an additional $3.6 million a year. These funds will be used for improving schools, from building repairs to security. Now, as Local 4's Carrie Keene reports, the school board is considering which improvements to make first.
Now that we have it, and now that it's a reality for us, we just want to make sure that we're not caught off guard and that we're moving forward with the plans and the expectations.
The 1-cent sales tax increase will bring an extra $3.6 million into the Rock Island Milan School District every year. The special meeting Tuesday night was for the board to look at which improvements will come first.
We know our schools are very aged. We know that there's some things that must be done, and we've got some priorities. So we have to start looking at those priorities and what it is that we need to do that is best for students, for our schools, and for our community.
One of the big concerns was safety at school entrances.
We need to have more secure areas so that people are not able to just walk throughout the schools arbitrarily as they feel like it. And so one of the things that we want to do is to secure that so that it makes it safer for all of our teachers, our staff, and our students within the school.
Another issue was the district's large amount of debt. A few of the board members spoke about the importance of using the sales tax funds to pay that off and ease the burden on taxpayers. Superintendent Mike Oberhaus says prioritizing these issues is important because they cannot do everything all at once.
There's a lot of pent-up demand, much exceeding the $3.6 million that we get on an annual basis, so it'll take some time.
The meeting was just the first conversation about the funds. The decisions will come at a later date.
We'll come back and we'll have further discussions about it. Tonight was really to pull a lot of information together for them to start the planning in a more meaningful and tactical way.
The next meeting is scheduled for December 13th, and at that point the board will have more information and will talk more specifically about what decisions they will make. Carrie Keene, Local 4 News.
Thanks, Carrie. And while the schools figure out how to spend extra money, Rock Island County is making major cuts. The county board approved a new budget for 2017 in a special meeting last night. It eliminates almost $1.5 million from the county. More than $700,000 of that will come from the sheriff's office. Court services loses about $150,000. Rock Island County will also set aside about $4.5 million for the liability fund. That can be used by departments only under extreme financial pressure, but that would require approval from a judge too. A floating brewery will not be coming to Davenport's riverfront. Davenport aldermen made that decision during a work session last night. Restoration St. Louis proposed turning the former Rhythm City Casino barge into a floating brewery and event space. That's the development company behind Hotel Blackhawk and the City Square project. But city leaders decided not to move forward with the plan because they do not want to use the current barge. Davenport Mayor Frank Klipsch says the barge is not a part of their long-term plan.
Restoration St. Louis will not have that barge use for a whole facility that they were talking about. More importantly, the barge and the porte-cochere will be removed, and then we'll start with a fresh slate and a fresh canvas.
Mayor Klipsch also says right now they want to figure out what will be at the base of the Sky Bridge. The city plans to add more green space to that area. Two Dakota Access Pipeline protesters are in custody this morning in Iowa after chaining themselves to construction equipment. Authorities in Pilot Mound made the arrest after a group of protesters ran past security to the construction site. The pair chained their wrists together inside a large pipe wrapped in chicken wire and tar. Firefighters had to cut the pipe to get them loose. A state patrol plane was called in to search the area for others in the group who called themselves Mississippi Stand.
We fully understand the risk of every direct action we take, and we are willing to take those risks and put our lives on the line because we deeply believe that water is life. Therefore, we must do everything in our human capacity to protect it.
The Des Moines River is one of the last sections of the pipeline to be worked on in central Iowa. Meanwhile, in North Dakota, the governor is ordering a mandatory evacuation of protesters at the Standing Rock camp. The Galesburg Police Department says efforts to crack down on dangerous driving during the Thanksgiving holiday was a success. The department's annual Click It or Ticket campaign led to dozens of arrests and citations over the past 2 weeks. That includes 3 DUI arrests, 5 seatbelt violations, and 5 citations for speeding. Well, with the end of November also comes the end of seeing a lot of extra facial hair for No Shave November. Today, the Moline police officers are wrapping up the month-long fundraiser and shaving off their beards. Local 4's Greta Patrick joins us now and tells us how the department made some adjustments in order to take part in the popular campaign. Good morning, Greta.
Good morning, Emily. Well, the police chief lifted the department's facial hair guidelines to raise money for a good cause. No Shave November is typically a month to raise awareness for testicular and prostate cancer, but the Moline PD went razorless to raise money for children's cancer. And now here's a few pictures of how the police officers looked. It's the first time they've ever been able to grow their beards, and today those beards will be judged. One of their sponsors was Ray's Barbershop in Moline, and they'll decide which officer has the best beard, the sexiest beard, and which one should not have a beard. This morning at 9, they'll present a check to Tootie's Tribe, which is a local cancer research organization. When we talked to Moline Detective John Leach at the beginning of November, he said they'd raised more than $3,000 just in the first few days. So we'll have to see later this morning how much money they raised altogether.
We thought about prostate cancer being the original No Shave November charity, and we thought, well, why should we focus on adults? Let's do something for children. So that's why we kind of searched out, looked at the Iowa City Children's Hospital, and then we just decided we wanted to do something more local.
And like I mentioned, the police will be presenting Tootie's Tribe with a check this morning at 9. That'll be at Ray's Barbershop in Moline. Then afterwards, all the officers can get a straight razor shave for free at the barbershop, so we'll be back to seeing clean-shaven officers in Moline. Greta Patrick, Local 4 News this morning.
Thanks, Greta. A lot of Moline officers will look very different by the end of the day, I'm sure. Thanks for that. And now let's check in with meteorologist Anthony Peoples on this hump day. The thing is that once they shave off those beards, they may be wishing for a little more warmth on their faces today.
Yeah, a lot of men, they start to grow those beards in the winter time just to have that little bit of extra warmth, but it will be turning colder, and they may wish that they had them.
All right, well, if you don't have a beard, you can still wear a scarf, grab the gloves. You'll want to bundle up this morning.
You're definitely going to want to bundle up not only this morning, but over the next several days. We did have clouds to move into the area overnight. Now, if you live east of the Quad Cities right now, across Bureau County and down around Stark County and parts of Knox County, you're still in the clear right now, but the clouds are definitely pushing south and east across the area. And by later this morning, we could have a light wintry mix to develop across the area. The current temperature is 36 degrees in the Quad Cities. Now, earlier this morning, a few hours ago, we had dropped to 32, so the temperature has gone up 4 degrees, but with the wind at 8 miles per hour, it feels like 30 this morning. So as kids head off to school, temperatures will be around 34 degrees, a little colder off to the east and southeast, a little bit warmer off to the west. But this afternoon, that light wintry mix developing across the area. It's going to be breezy, and highs today only around 40 degrees. That is right about where it should be for this time of the year. So again, with temperatures in the upper 30s to low 40s, it could start out as a little bit of light rain, and farther north, north of Interstate 80, it could change over to a rain-snow mix or just all snow, but it will only accumulate on grassy surfaces if we get any accumulation.
All right, so do you think it'll be on the way back from work today, commuters heading back home, that will deal with that wintry mix?
It'll be winding down about this evening, so we could still see some snowflakes flying around later today, but again, with the warm ground, anything that does quickly accumulate will probably melt away because the ground is still pretty warm.
Thank you, Anthony. Disney on Ice presents Dare to Dream, and one of the princess skaters is live in our studio this morning. We'll tell you who after the break.
Stay with us. It's 6:10. You're watching Local 4 News this morning.
WHBF is local for you with James Sears, Emily Scarlett, and meteorologist Anthony Peoples. This is Local 4 News this morning in high definition.